Hi everybody, and welcome to today's Recruitment Spotlight webinar. My name's Joe from the new business team at Head Office, which to all of our travel counsellors is the support function for our franchise owners. And usually I'd be broadcasting this sort of webinar from the state-of-the-art studio in Manchester. However, today I'm broadcasting from the back bedroom in the house and a Zoom background of said studio. So hopefully there'll be no technical difficulties. I hope it's smooth sailing throughout the webinar. I don't have any children myself, so there shouldn't be anyone running through the door. I don't have any pets either, so hopefully there'll be no cats and dogs causing havoc. Hopefully I'm not on mute either. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. We've seen it all as a business, believe me. We've been through it all as a business as well. But I do hope the information serves anyone who is considering their next step in their career or considering the options of starting a travel business through the franchise model. I do hope that this is useful for you. We're going to be joined by two guests today. The first guest will be Paul Sharp, who is a current travel counsellor. Paul joined us in August of 2020 amidst all of the chaos that is currently ongoing. So we'll be catching up with him to find out how he's been getting on whilst running a business during such crazy times, how he found his training, any words of wisdom, any advice that he can give. And we'll also be catching up with Matt Harding, who is the head of our franchise sales team at Head Office. Matt joined the business roughly a year or so ago from the Freedom franchise home-based travel business group. So very, very familiar with this sort of model. Years and years of experience in the industry, so can give some great food for thought for anyone who might be considering those next steps. So before anyone is introduced, one thing you might be asking yourself, and it would be very, very logical to be doing so, is why do you find yourself watching a webinar about starting a travel business when there is a global pandemic and currently a travel ban of some sort in place? Now, they are completely reasonable things to be asking yourself. However, people are doing just that and have done just that throughout the last year and are making a real great success and a real good start to building foundations of a successful business. So bear with us. I hope that the information is well received. If you do have any questions, we'll put our contact details up at the end of the webinar, and you can contact myself or any member of the recruitment team, and we'll be happy to answer any sort of questions that you have. We'll get cracking, and we'll introduce our first guest, Paul, and enjoy the show. Paul, hi, how are you? How are you doing?
Hi, Joe. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's great to be here, and yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm getting by.
Good, yeah. How's things going during lockdown? Are you coping? Are you well? What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, like most people, not all that much really, but all good, all good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm about the same. I'm making my way up and down the stairs at the moment every day. Well, that seems to be all I'm doing. It's a bit crazy, but yeah. You know, could be worse. And you know, as long as everyone's got the health and such, then it's not too bad.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's it. Well, thank you so much, mate, for joining us on today's Spotlight webinar. Okay. I hopefully would like to use your experiences as an example for people maybe considering starting a franchise and a travel franchise. And hopefully, yeah, you can give some words of advice to how you have found it. So the biggest question, me from a new business point of view, and the rest of my team is probably dealing with the question of you want to start a travel business during a global pandemic and also probably a global travel lockdown and a travel ban. Why on earth would you want to do that? So, well, first off, have you had that question? Have you received that question yet? And if you have, take us through it. Why have you done what you've done?
Absolutely. Well, I have had that many times, as you'd imagine. But basically, this isn't a new decision for me. I've been thinking for a long time about becoming a travel counsellor. But like so many of us in the industry, in 2020, sort of had my hand forced a little bit. So like a lot of people, I was made redundant. But that was actually, once the dust settled, that was quite a good thing because it allows you to make start reevaluating, I suppose, really, and really trying to determine what I wanted to do. What was particularly important to me when it came to earning a living. I suppose, having worked in the industry for a really long time, I've never ever thought about turning my back on the industry. Generally, I don't think I could probably be as passionate or as enthusiastic about any other industry. So yeah, for me, it wasn't really a choice that I'd go anywhere else or do anything else. And I think, Travel Counsellors represents a really, really exciting opportunity at the moment, because people have been locked down, as we know, for a long time, us included.
And counting.
I think as soon as people are allowed to travel more freely, there is going to be a huge demand. So I think there's some really exciting times potentially for us as individual TCs, but also as well from having had lots of conversations with people who've perhaps not been treated in the way we would like them to be treated by other travel companies. Again, there's that opportunity there to give people that reassurance and support by the way in which we offer service here at Travel Counsellors.
Absolutely, and I hope you explain it in that much detail when someone asks you that question as well, because it certainly do us favours too. You mentioned that you've been in travel and you've transitioned from one company to another. Just very, very quickly, Paul, take us through your background. Where have you come from, and what brought you towards Travel Counsellors?
No problem. Well, I've worked in travel for just over 25 years. So I started off working for a number of hotel companies. So I worked for the Vox Group. I worked for Bass Hotels. So two names that have disappeared over the years. I then went to work for a multinational travel agency. And then I've spent the last 20 plus years still working in the travel industry, but in training and development roles. So, what that's allowed me to do, amongst other things, is, work still very closely with the industry, but also getting involved with different areas of the industry as well. So from suppliers' perspective, salespeople, travel agents, and so on. The job that I did most recently allowed me to do some global roles. So I was able to travel really widely, and that gave me a really good opportunity to experience countries and cultures that I'd never have experienced without having done that job. So yeah, it's given me a lot of exposure to the world that hopefully I can then share with my customers.
Brilliant. And well, it flows nicely into on our sort of next point, which is to do with the onboarding process of travel counsellors and becoming a travel counsellor, and what you would go through as someone who's considering it, which is and part and parcel of that is the training. So once someone's made a decision and decided to join the business, they go through an onboarding process. Traditionally, that would have been in our Manchester office. So I know you've not had the sort of pleasure of seeing that for what it's worth. Hopefully sooner rather than later you will do. But how did you find the training? It's obviously now done remotely. How did it go for you? And any thoughts on what you went through and experienced?
Well, it has been a really positive experience. So I think, what I'm seeing from my time with travel counsellors is travel counsellors are really keen to always roll their sleeves up and change the way in which things are being done, really always with the intention of giving us a better experience. I was really impressed by the fact that we were allowed access to coach our learning management system ahead of joining, because that really gave me a great insight into travel counsellors and what that's all about. It was a really good blend, because we then had some time with trainer-led sessions, which was really valuable. So the trainers are excellent. They know the business inside out and backwards. Also as well, they're really mindful of the fact that, we're learning in a different way. So they kept sessions manageable. There was plenty of time for breaks. There was lots of time for interaction. And although I've never met face-to-face the group that I trained with, we've got this real nice little bond between our team. So it's been a great experience.
It's
and
good.
then followed up.
Sorry, go on.
Lots of good stuff as well. So there's that's just the start of the process, and now we're seeing sort of more training opportunities, be that on how to maximize our business through coaching, time with suppliers. So yeah, really good experience.
It's a big apprehension that people have at the moment about potentially missing out on that cohesion and being with a group face to face, and admittedly for the business, that something we've been able to adapt to quite quickly, because we are a home-based business. We went through some struggles undoubtedly, but we feel like we've got that right. I mean, did you have those apprehensions at first? Did you think, I just don't know if it's going to work at home? Was that process okay for you?
That was okay for me. I've done home-based roles for a long time, so that wasn't such an adjustment. But again, I think we're travel counsellors are a sociable bunch, but it's how we work with what we're faced with now. So it's using the message boards, it's using WhatsApp groups, various Facebook groups and things, and there is still definitely that opportunity for teamwork and collaboration, albeit a bit differently to that's how we'd normally do it.
Good. And was there any not mayhem, but was there any madness on the training? I said just earlier in the start of this webinar, hopefully, there's no youngsters or children running through the back door or dogs going wild in the background barking. Did you have any distractions, or was it all right?
It's all right. My dog was probably the distraction. So.
It's something that I think the norm now, isn't it? Everyone's used to the potential threat of some sort of intrusion into your back bedroom office, but I'm glad it went seamless. And so you kickstart your business on the end of that initial training week after a week of learning about the business, and you've launched your business now. So you've been going since August. How's it going? How are you finding things?
It's good. Yeah, I was really pleased with how my business took off initially. I didn't come with a book of clients ready-made, so really it is starting from scratch. So if anyone is questioning, well, can I make this a success without having a ready-made client list? The answer is yes. Obviously, like everything, nothing happens overnight. So it's really important, I think, to manage your expectations. But no, I was really pleased. I'm really pleased with how it's going. So I've got some ambitious plans, but it just takes a while. And I think as long as you give yourself that permission and you're realistic at this time, it's a great opportunity to learn. So be that about travel counsellors, how to maximise your business, the suppliers that we've got at our fingertips. It's setting really, really good foundations for when the world gets a bit more normal again.
I think that's the nail on the head there, is just be exactly that. Be realistic that we are in tough times at the moment, and so travel is a lot slower than usual. So don't expect the world in the first month or two. And you've got off to a great start, and you've made some great bookings already. And how did you go about doing that? Did you network through maybe social media websites? Did you attend any online networking events? How have you managed that?
Yeah, all of the above, really. So I have really tried to up my presence in terms of things like Facebook and Instagram. Really just trying to share things. It's not a sell, but just trying to share things that are interesting for people, so that I will be front of mind, when they feel confident to travel again. But just friends and family, and people, relying on people sharing and referring me, which people have done. So I think everybody wants to help a fledgling business.
Brilliant, definitely. And it's I think again exactly what a lot of travel counsellors are doing is they know that it's slow at the moment, but they're getting in the forefront of people's mind, and just keeping in touch, however that may be, for when everyone calls it this travel turn or this travel boom does happen, and it will. They're there and ready to really reap the rewards of what I suppose traditionally would be now in January and February of peak season. So we hope that falls sooner rather than later. And just finally, I suppose, going back to that lingering question of why on earth would you start a business in amidst all of this, knowing what you know now and having gone through the training in your first sort of 4 or 5 months worth of business. Any advice for anyone who is considering this change of career, or this opportunity at least?
It is a massive leap of faith, but personally, go for it. I cannot say, I'm not being paid to say this, but Travel Counsellors are probably the most supportive and friendly organisation I've ever worked with in travel. So in terms of having people behind you that are really invested in your success, you couldn't get a better partner than Travel Counsellors. Or my only advice would be just to, again, Rome wasn't built in a day. So, you know, just be kind to yourself, that maybe if things aren't taking off in quite the speed that you'd like them to, you know, it takes time, and particularly now. But you know, being your own boss is such a fantastic feeling, and you know, knowing that everything you're doing is for the good of your customers and your business, it really is really rewarding being here. So go for it.
Brilliant. I think that's a very, very important part, as well, Paul, is that, you know, look after number one as well, first and foremost. From our end, do not rush this decision. Do any due diligence that you need to do. Ask all the questions, and I think it's important, which we have seen maybe a little bit, is don't be sold to based on circumstances, whether that be redundancy or because of circumstances, it'd be a cheap deal or anything like that. Do what you need to do to make sure it's the right fit. And I know, having spoken to you many times in the past before, you did exactly that. Yeah, any advice and tips on that side of things, of making that decision and deciding who and which company you might choose?
Again, I think for me, it just went down to reputation. I knew some people who are already successful TCs. So, you know, when you know what can be achieved when things are normal, quote unquote, you know, it does allow you then to sort of see, you know, how it can be in better times. So yeah, just have that plan. Keep it in mind, keep it realistic, but also, you know, keep chipping away at it. And, you know, I think everything that you're doing to keep yourself front of mind, it will pay off. You know, I get inquiries now from people that are very sort of like tenuous links, but you know, people are watching. You know, when you're on social media, when you're doing your thing on there, that people are, it is resonating with people. So, you know, keep the faith with it, and it will happen in time, definitely.
It will. And Paul, sorry. I really appreciate you joining us today, and thanks so much for your time. I'm not putting words in your mouth here, but it'd be okay if we shared your email address with anyone who had any questions, and if they did want to speak with someone doing the job on a day-to-day basis, they can reach out to you. Would that be okay?
Very happy with that. No
Brilliant.
problem.
Perfect. Paul, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you again. It will turn, and it will come good. But keep up what you're doing. You are doing a smashing job, and yeah, we'll speak again soon. Brilliant. Thanks so much, Paul. And as Paul said, if there is anyone interested in finding out a little bit more about how it all works from a travel counsellor point of view, and speak to someone who's done it all before and gone through that process, then we'll share Paul's details at the end of this show, and you are more than welcome to reach out to him for any words of wisdom and some advice. Moving on, and to our next guest as well, we've got Matt Harding, who is the head of our new business team and my boss. Hello, Matt. How are you doing?
Hey, Joe. Really good, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm all right, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yes, I'm really good, thank you. Really good. It was a great insight from Paul as well earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. How are things your way? Coping with lockdown? All okay? Going crazy? Everything in between? How's it going?
Yeah, I think like everybody, we're all getting used to the new norm now, aren't we? Of working at home. I've not been into the office since October. It was last year now, so I've got the home setup all sorted, and we've got rhythm and routine now at home with who's watching Netflix or who's not on the Netflix account. So yeah, we're all good, thank you.
Good. And the start of the video touched on very, very briefly your background in travel and where you've come from. But in your own words, yeah, just tell us a bit about your experience, please, Matt, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so this year I've been in the industry for 27 years. So when I left school, I went on to a youth training program in a travel agency, and I've worked in various different roles, predominantly within the air tours and my travel business at first, and then moved on to Thomas Cook. I've worked in various different roles, from selling holidays to managing stores, managing regions, and then in the Thomas Cook retail business, I was the head of retail for a while before moving on to one of the independent parts of Thomas Cook. So I managed the Freedom Travel Group, which was the membership side of travel agents across the high street, and also a home working arm as well. So a wide range of different roles I've done across retail and across independent travel agents and home working. And at my time at Thomas Cook, I also worked for the tour operator for a while as well, doing a stint of understanding the package holiday market and building and selling packages as well. So I had a great time working with the tour operator on that commercial side as well.
Awesome. And we decided offline that any intricate, tricky travel questions, you'll be the best bet for that. I'll take the easy ones, and yeah, it'll save me any blushes of not knowing any answers. So pressure for you, hopefully not myself.
No, absolutely. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how today goes. But I think there's so many things that have changed in the industry for especially the last couple of years, some of our regulations or the changes to the regulations. It's making sure that obviously we're fully up to date. So you can test my knowledge on them by all means.
Brilliant. Well, we've got a presentation slideshow sort of to aid the conversation and just point out to people, how it does all work with travel counsellors, and hopefully that'll just give anyone who is either new to the journey of finding out about the business, or anyone who is already going through that process and knows maybe a little bit about who we are. It'll give an overall and a good understanding about how we operate, how we work, how it is at the moment, and yeah, we'll chat that through and hopefully give people the information that they need to make that decision, whatever that may be, if that works for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the slideshow that we'll talk through is really, really important for us to be able maybe share with you some of the questions that we get asked in the new business team or the franchise sales team on what people say to us around what's it like owning your own travel franchise, or what kind of support that you've got. So yeah, I think it'll be a great starting point. And again, at the end, we can answer any questions, or we can connect anybody with any of our TCs across the whole of the UK and Ireland, just to give a bit of an insight into what life's been like for them as well. So absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get started, and we'll get this presentation loaded up right now. Awesome. So we've got this loaded up here. So the whole idea around this brief presentation is to hopefully give you an understanding of the sort of questions that we're being asked by potential new business owners. I hope it gives some clarity on maybe some of the questions that are resonating with yourself, and Matt and I will just talk through each slide and hopefully give you that information that you might need. So to start with, we'll just start on the history really of travel counsellors, and just talk about who we are, where we've come from, for anyone who is new to the idea of becoming a franchise owner with us. So we were founded in 1994 by a gentleman called David Speakman, who had this really entrepreneurial idea about starting a home-based travel business, and he was absolutely right. If you consider where we are at this moment in time, he was so nailed on with that idea. And throughout the years, from 1994 to 2021, pandemic aside, you can see on this slide where we've sort of come from. So between 1994 and 2004, we welcomed our 100th travel counsellor, for example. We were in 2003, we won the Queen's Award, which is a phenomenal achievement. We continued to grow through 2005 to 2013. We built an in-house booking system called Phoenix. We joined our 1000th travel counsellor, which is an amazing milestone. And then as we continued to grow and into one of the leading franchise businesses for a travel company in the UK, we received a secondary investment. We moved to our offices in Trafford Park. We continue to grow, and that, in brief and in very short, is where you see travel counsellors today. So some of that will have been known, some of it, maybe some golden nuggets of information, but that's a brief background to who we are. And we now just have over 1,900 travel counsellors globally, operating at the moment in 7 different countries. So a very, very established business. And Matt, if you can take us through how that looks from the inside point of view, yeah, we'll go from there. So next up would be technology.
Absolutely. So I think technology plays a really big key part into the digital strategy for travel counsellors. And from my experience of working in various different business, it really does take us one step away from what any of the competitors do or any of the travel providers out there. So from a travel counsellor's point of view, what you'll find is we have an in-house booking system or platform called Phoenix. So this is the real hub to our business, and Phoenix has got all of our directly contracted hotel stock in there. It has all of our search systems loaded. It has our CRM system loaded into it, and it has our quote and book facility. So everything is listed within our Phoenix system. It then interacts with our app. So the app is an extension of our travel counsellors in your pocket. So the app is a really useful tool where you can send all of your quotes, all of your bookings, any of information to your customers direct, and it gives you some real good insight into how your customers are interacting and using it as well. But when we talk about technology, technology's played a really big part in the way that we talk and the way that we communicate with all of our travel counsellors. So in normal times, we'd be doing this from our TV studio based in Venus, but we have a weekly show that goes out globally, which is hosted by our directors, and we have lots of insight into what's going on within the business on our weekly TV shows. And then we also have a broad communication channels where we have lots of different hubs and insight portals that give you lots of information as to what's going on within the business. And it's all in a digital format. So you've got it on your screen, you've got it on a tablet, or you've got it on your mobile as well.
And Matt, I'm a newbie still in the scheme of things to travel. I'm only 4 years in to travel, so I've only known what I've seen really at travel counsellors. But you've obviously had experiences from different organisations, and obviously, without saying it out loud, you know, got a few more years on than I have. So, what the question I suppose is, what's the difference between the technology that is available at travel counsellors as opposed to maybe other organisations that people are considering moving away from?
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. I think the big difference that we have here is Phoenix as a platform is one single system that was developed in-house by travel counsellors for use with travel counsellors. And what we search in the system, we book holidays in the system, we administer all of the bookings within the same system. So you're not moving from different systems. So you'll find in different organizations, you might have a CRM system that's on one platform. You might then have to go to a different system to start searching for holidays, go to a different system then to load the holidays on to give you the documentation, and then maybe another system to take payments. Phoenix is everything in one. So it makes the journey and the way that you search for holidays and create packages really bespoke. So that's a real key difference, I would say, from maybe some of the other organizations out there. The slickness of the system, all underpinned by an app, which then puts the customer in control as well. So they can make payments, they can communicate with you via the app, but they can also see all of their bookings as well. So they don't have to go and download different apps from airlines or hotels. Everything's in one place.
And it might sound maybe a bit overwhelming to some extent that all this technology is in place, but it's really, really not. And we do go through a lot of information in the training, and that is one of the key questions that we get asked is what the induction process is, and how am I going to find out all these different things and what's included. And these are just some of the basic questions, but the most common questions that we'll get asked. You know, where is the training? It's obviously now being held remotely, so from the comfort of your own home. We've had to do that to abide by government restrictions. And I think if I remember rightly, Matt, you sort of joined in the midst of, or at least just before the craziness unfolded. So for myself, it was very much, well, we were a home-based working organisation traditionally. We're moving out of that a little bit, but it was seamless in terms of the transition. So the training is being held virtually. So we will send out all the equipment and everything in place for your business will be set up for you. So the setup is done by myself, Matt, and the rest of the recruitment team. We'll take you through the onboarding process of becoming a travel counsellor. We'll order and organise all your equipment and give you access to all the systems, and that will be sent out by courier. So you receive all that equipment in the post, essentially. The costs of the training will vary from person to person on an individual basis, based on someone's background and experience within travel, and we can talk to you through that on an individual basis. The training program, the coach program, and the coach system, which is an e-learning portal. The ongoing training, what's involved, and what happens after that initial 1 week period, and then also the content. What are you going to be teaching us, and what are we going to be training and learning about during that initial period? So, I suppose, Matt, how do you find the training in comparison to other places again? And if you could outline any of that as well for people considering things.
Absolutely, Joe. No, and I think the good thing for us, I mean, I joined the business in November 19, so I saw, and I was part of an additional induction group, so I could understand what our new travel counsellors receive. So because the business is so well established, we've been going for 26 years, we've got a really good routine with the way that we induct any of our new joins to make sure that we set them up to succeed, and we learn from that process. So when we had to go into remote learning and doing things from home, for us, it was quite an easy transition. So all we had to do was maybe change some of our internal processes around how we get our laptops sent out to everybody rather than them having them on their first day. And we just moved our, what would have been classroom training, to do it virtually. And actually what that's probably done for us over the pandemic, it's shown us that actually you can do things in the same way, but in a virtual environment, which I think all of us have learned how to do. You know, if you'd have thought maybe a year ago, nobody would have been known what Zoom was, or we wouldn't have been doing Zoom even with families, whereas now obviously we can use that equivalent of today, and like we do with trainings. I think what we've also found is it's given everybody a little bit more comfort to be able to use technology, to use cameras, to use different applications like Skype or Teams, for example. So that worked really well for us. And I think other organizations will be doing exactly the same. I think where we've probably excelled and where we've been able to really make sure that we've had continuity within our business, because we've been around for so long, we have the infrastructure in place to help us. So we've already got a really well-established technology team. We've got an extensive training team. We've got all the support functions within our team in Manchester. We just needed to maybe just amend the way that we work to make sure it was working in a virtual environment. And I think that's been testament to the teams that have made that happen in the last maybe 9 or 10 months.
Indeed. And one question just on training as well for people who might be thinking about, well, I would much prefer that in person over virtual training. Where do you see things potentially going, Matt, with the business and training in general? Do you think we'll ever get back to a position of training in person, for anyone who is wondering that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, like with many businesses now and many of our supplier partners, we've all had to adapt to the new norm, and whether that's, one-to-one trainings via Zoom, or you're doing things in webinars, a bit like what we're doing today. I think once we understand what the world looks like, and we understand how, when the government guidelines change, there'll be a place definitely for face-to-face learning. There'll definitely be a place for a blended approach, which is, I think, what we'll end up doing as a business. And I think we'll do a blend of doing things remotely, doing things virtually, doing things face-to-face in person. Lots of our suppliers and lots of our partners have started to use various technologies now. So we get involved with conferences that are virtual, for example. Clear, which is the Association of the Cruise Lines, which we're a member of, for example, they've started doing virtual ship tours. So where we may have taken a group of new travel counsellors down to one of the ports and had an experience of being on board a ship to really understand that product in a really immersive way. So, for example, they now do virtual ship tours, and you sign up to do a virtual tour and go around the ship. So I think what the pandemic has shown is that we all need to get probably a little bit more creative in the way that we learn. And I think the technology will massively help us. it's a pace that suits us. So not everybody in the past, maybe, for example, could have got to Southampton to do a ship tour because of geography or maybe personal circumstances. But what a great way now you can be able to interact, and you can.
Yeah, I think it gives everyone at least the opportunity, doesn't it? Certainly for trips like that down to Southampton. Absolutely. Perfect. So this is, again, we spoke offline, probably maybe more of a topic that you're best suited for, Matt. It's not one of my one of my strengths, but very, very important nonetheless about certainly running your own business. And so one of the questions we get asked is, what are the regulatory bodies that we need to be aware of, as a business owner? So these are the key ones that we get covered. Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, no, I don't mind taking these. Yeah, no, I don't mind talking these through, Joe, and giving you a bit of an insight. And I like how I've got the nice, the boring ones, or the ones that aren't as sexy. So I think part of being your own boss, there's a lot of responsibilities that come with running your own franchise. And a really key part of joining a franchise, the size of Travel Counsellors, we have a really strong support team in place that look after all the regulatory matters so you don't have to. So you'll see on the screen here where we talk about GDPR, there's lots of rulings around the data protection regulations, and you can be safe in the knowledge that we have our own dedicated cybersecurity team. We have policies and procedures that protect all of the personal data that's transmitted through our systems. So all that's covered. A couple of years ago, there was an introduction for PSD2, which is the Payment Service Directive. It was delayed slightly because of the transition of the EU. But again, when we get into this year, there'll be ways that we will take clients' payments from them via card that will have to change. So as a business owner, you don't need to worry around that. We'll upgrade our systems to make sure that they're fully compliant with the latest PCI regulations. And that gives all that security in a technology way of taking a payment, and we'll do that so all of our systems are fully updated. And then the big thing really for the travel industry is the package travel regulations, and there's a really big probably a big drive to making sure that everybody understands what they are, but also what the pandemic has shown is for people or customers that are doing their own packages, that there's been times when they're not covered or they've not had the right financial protection in place. So you can be fully confident that when you book any holidays through Travel Counsellors or through any of our approved suppliers, the package travel regulations are adhered to, and we have the way that the system works, it tells you what package is needed, and we include the relevant protection. So you don't have to worry around thinking, do I need to apply this? Do I not need to apply that? And the other thing really to put on, or remind everybody on here is every penny that is transacted within Travel Counsellors is financially protected. So we have a unique trust model in place that can make sure that all of client funds are protected in the right way. And a really key way of us making sure that we look after customers is making sure that all of their money is protected, and 100% of everything that goes into our account is fully protected and ring-fenced in the right way.
I mean, we touched on that with Paul just earlier on in the webinar, and it's such a crucial benefit, I think, to joining an established franchise, certainly like Travel Counsellors, because you don't have to worry about that side of the business. It's certainly one that you have to be aware of, but there are things that we will do with our support capacity that it's one less thing for our Travel Counsellors to certainly have to worry on a day-to-day basis. There's processes in place for that.
Absolutely, and there'll be more and more talk around travel businesses as the pandemic, continues, around how the money is protected, where the money is kept. And especially when we had cancellations and we were having to refund customers, and customers were receiving credit notes, and how long it was taking for refunds to happen. You may have seen already in some of our communications that we've won twice now the Martin's Money Saver poll for looking after customers and looking after customers' money. And that just goes to show that we've got a really robust way of protecting money, and way of looking after our refunds and making sure that we have the right policies and procedures in place. So it's really important, and the regulatory bodies and the way that the travel industry is governed, it's really tight, and which is exactly what's needed. But you can be safe in the knowledge that we do all that worry for you, and we take away that And then any kind of updates that change to the regulations we share with you as and when we need to through our TCTV channels.
Definitely. One thing moving on to the next point that I think is really important at the minute for anyone considering this is the financial side of becoming a business owner in general, but also with travel counsellors and there are financial commitments to that, and I think these are just really important and need to be thought about from a point of view of that onboarding process or process of finding out if this could be an option for you. And so we just wanted to briefly show what you should be thinking about and maybe considering financially in the circumstances that we currently are in about joining the Travel Counsellor franchise. And so that's to make you aware. Travel Counsellors is a franchise opportunity, so it's the opportunity to run your own self-employed business, and that might be through a limited company or as a sole trader. But the point of reference for that is that means that it will be a commission paid role only, and so that's based on the profit of any in particular product that you would sell. There will be a margin of profit, and the earnings for you as the travel counsellor are based on a 60-40% split of that profit margin. You as the travel counsellor would take 60%, and Travel Counsellors as a business would reinvest that 40% into improving, whether it be technology, the way that we operate and things like that. Alongside that, there's also a franchise fee, which is based on your experience and route of entry into travel. And so we have various franchise, I suppose, business models, and that will differ from each franchise, ranging from £354 to the other end of the spectrum, which is £12,000. So both significant investments itself, but something to be aware of again when considering these things. And then there are things like operating costs and maintenance fees per month for that given franchise. And with Travel Counsellors, one of those is a dedicated business phone line. A second is a professional indemnity insurance cover. And then a third is the operating fee, which includes a bit of administration fee as well. So take those into account when you are considering if this could be an option for you. A lot of travel franchises and franchise models will have maintenance costs per month. So just be aware of those as well. And then you can start touching on how you want to spend your own money for your business. So we can provide things like marketing to a certain extent, but you might want to go out and buy things like stationery or marketing materials like banners, for example, if you ever go to networking events and things like that. So be aware of additional costs to the general costs of your business. And then anything in addition to those, for example, your everyday circumstances, your operating costs. What do you need to essentially keep your head above water? We don't want this to be a burden for anyone who is considering this opportunity. It's the last thing that we would ever want, is to put financial pressure on anyone at all. So take all those into account, and it's not to put off anyone from considering this option, but to be realistic and let them know that this is the reality of running a business, certainly through a franchise model and also through travel counsellors. And then finally, any charges that may be associated to your business, and that might range from perhaps you would like to operate out of an office, for example. We don't cover those charges. They would be something down to the individual. And so just take a slow step back and just make sure that you're aware of what you are stepping into. And finances, for me at least, is probably one of the key things. It's a crucial aspect to making sure that this might work for you or not. Matt, any thoughts on that? I know that was a lot of waffling for myself, but
no, it's not. No, Joe, it's really good content, and I think it's really important. I think one thing you'll find from travel counsellors and from the whole of the team, so the way that we will guide you through the joining process or understanding which franchise is right for you, like Joe says, it's based on your experience within the industry and what training package we will provide for you to make sure that you've got that ongoing support, so you can be a real good success. What you won't find from travel counsellors, and you certainly won't find from myself or any of the team, so we won't be in a selling role, and we don't do any joining gimmicks, or we don't do any joining incentives. We're very open and honest with what we charge. We're very open and honest with our monthly fees. Our franchise fee of £40 a month has been the same for 26 years. We haven't changed it. We're very open and honest that we want you to take professional indemnity insurance every month to cover you, to protect your risk. We have our business phone line in place to make sure that when we're taking payments that they're done through a PCI compliant way. So there's lots of things that we'll operate, and we're very transparent. And the biggest thing I can say to you around when you're thinking around starting up your own business is making sure that we're working alongside your new business consultant or myself, that we spend that time on building that business plan for you for the first year to make sure that you've got a good understanding of what you need in terms of income to pay your bills, because we don't want, as Joe mentioned, to put any financial burden on anybody starting up a new business. The rewards far outweigh some of the risks, but you've got to do what's right for you. And I think what you'll find during our business planning, or if you're thinking about joining Travel Counsellors, we'll spend more time at the front end of the process, really understanding what's important to you, really understanding that you've got the right setup in order to succeed long term. Because together, once we're partnering together and we've got a franchise that's operating, we want you to be as successful as you can. So I think, we're very transparent, we're very open, but we are here to support as well.
And I've seen quite a few times through social media platforms and things like that, it can come across as if some companies are selling on circumstances and rejigging their business model that they've had for so many years to sort of, in a way, mass on board. And you hit the nail on the head. We're absolutely not like that, because we want to make sure that it's right for the individual, and we won't do that. We won't sell on the circumstances, whether it be redundancies or anything like that. It's got to be a two-way street. It's got to be right for both parties, business and the individual.
Absolutely, Joe. I think whichever way you look at it, whether you need some guidance around starting a franchise, we're absolutely here to help. But if you've got adversity currently happening in your life, so you might be struggling, or you're looking at maybe a potential redundancy, or you're on furlough with an uncertain future, the team and myself are fully trained in just giving you some guidance. We've got some great guides that we're more than happy to share. So if it is that maybe running your own franchise is a step too far, that's not a problem. We're quite happy just to share with you some of our knowledge, and we've got some great case studies, and we've got some great blogs that we can share with you on how we've helped people just in the industry. I think the travel industry has come together far more than we've ever experienced, especially through the pandemic. And we've got a really special industry, and we are more than happy just to protect that and help each other out. So we're more than happy to share with you any of our knowledge and any of our materials that we can help you with, whether that's just CV writing, for example, or if it was just some guides on where to look for your next role if franchising isn't for you.
And that's it. Support is absolutely massive for Travel Counsellors as a business, and we want to make sure exactly that is what Travel Counsellors get. And this next slide just shows just some of the key, I suppose, ways or means and different aspects that we do support our Travel Counsellors. And there's so much more to what you would see just here on a simple slide. But there's things like peer-to-peer. We're a franchise of over 1,900 global travel counsellors, people who've been in the industry for 20 plus years. They have the utmost and in-depth knowledge that anyone else or anyone can have, or speak to them. So use these individuals to really understand whatever it is that you may need. You're looking for a certain attraction, use someone's advice, people who've done it before. Matt touched on our tech and systems previously. They're so up to date, and I do believe ahead of the game in terms of other franchise models. We seem to be always one step ahead of so much, and we're always investing into our technology so that we can be one step ahead. Things like our MyTC app and the platform that we have in Phoenix, and making things so seamless and so instant for our customers, and it can be such an easy process to book a holiday. Our head office support team, second to none in the industry, and are there whenever someone would need any sort of advice, whether it be travel knowledge, need a chat because of everything that's going on at the moment. And then our digital footprint, by the means that we can communicate effectively with everyone. Again, Matt mentioned it earlier with the likes of our TV studio. There's communication channels that we use in-house, things like Yammer and internal message boards, WhatsApp groups, social media groups, people when they could meeting up to sort of just share stories about business, and support. Support is massive, I think, isn't it, Matt, for anyone joining the business, but even more so ongoing throughout their time as a travel counsellor.
Yeah, no, I've never seen a community like it. And I think the community support that we've got is what's really stood out through the pandemic. So I think there's a few things, Joe, that you've mentioned there that probably are very unique to what we've got. So where we talk around peer-to-peer and helping each other out, little examples of that, for example, if you are a travel counselor and you're looking for some help on, let's say, a cruise, for example, on one of our digital platforms, you're able to go and find specialists in the travel counsellor community who've got specialist knowledge in cruise. If you needed to find, and these are individual travel counsellors that have put their hands up and said, yeah, I'm happy to help. I'd love to be a destination expert. They've got some minimum criteria that they've met, and they will dedicate and give their own time up to help you. We have, I saw a great example on one of our Yammer groups. So for those of you who might not have used Yammer, it's like a social media platform that we use internally. And I saw a great example of a TC that was asking for some help with a wedding in South Africa. And one of the local TCs who was based in South Africa responded to that thread, was able to give some really in-depth information around the area that the customers were looking for. She even spoke to the customers and explained that she was a local TC. She would go and meet with the hotelier. And, that turned into a new booking and a customer for life just because of that connection. So I don't think you can underestimate what that peer-to-peer and that community feels like here. As I say, I've never experienced it in 25 years. And I think the way that everybody helps in that community feel it's really something special and something that's really a really nice thing to be part of as well.
Absolutely, and in that example as well, it sort of steers nicely into the potential product available. So weddings, for example, as the product there, and it's another question that we get asked very regularly is, well, what can I sell as a travel counsellor, and what do I have access to? Can I sell long haul, short haul, flight, cruise? Absolutely, anything like that, and you absolutely can. And our commercial team is such a powerful part of the business, who do exactly that. They build rapport with these suppliers and these relationships that have been in place now for years and years, which enables our travel counsellors, whether it be variety in product, competitive pricing for their clients and customers, to really be, again, sort of, I think, leading within the industry. And you can see some examples just on screen here of who we operate with. Some of the major players in the likes of airlines, cruise lines, resorts, for example, car hire, etc. And it just allows travel counsellors to really build these intricate, personal, specific itineraries and holiday quotes for their customers. And it also allows whether it be corporate clients to get exactly what they need for their customers too. So that's a very brief snippet of what we can sell as travel counsellors. There's so much more to that, but it is something to be shouted out from the rooftops. I think you can sell almost anything as a travel counsellor, and if you can't get it, there's a genuine reason for that, and we'll always do our best to make sure we can, in one way, shape or form, service our customers. One way of doing that and attracting customers, Matt, is our marketing team, and there's loads of variety in terms of what you can do with our marketing. There's going to be a quick video that shows here. We'll watch about 30 seconds of it or so, and then I'll let you take the lead. Yeah, we won't watch it all. It gives me the itch, the travel bug. We've gone a slide ahead, but I'll just go back to that. And yeah, Matt, from a marketing point of view, that's just some examples of what our team at head office and our support function can do and put together for our travel counsellors. But yeah, any insight from a marketing point of view?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, like you say, that gives us a great insight into some of the experiences that some of our travel counsellors have created for customers who've shared their footage with us. So we have a dedicated marketing team in our head office in Manchester that provide lots of content that is available to you 24/7. It's all included as part of your franchise. And we have a dedicated marketing hub, so where you can download all of the assets that you need to be able to really reach out to a wide audience. And whether you have a specialist interest in cruising or maybe sustainable travel, or it might be that you like, for example, the latest airline sale, we provide all of the content and some of the copy or the writing that you need to attach with your social media, all in within our marketing hub that you can have in your palm, either on your phone or a tablet, or you can use on a laptop as well. And Joe just shared with you there, we have lots of lifestyle videos as well that we are all social media friendly, that you can upload to your own social media pages. So you can show some insight into the kind of holidays that can be created. And then in terms of marketing, we also, if you're not great at it or it's new to you, or you're thinking, actually, I'm a little bit scared, I haven't done any marketing on social media, or I might use Facebook for my own personal use, but I've never used it to drive a business. Within that marketing hub and within our coach e-learning platform that Joe touched on earlier, we have lots of content and lots of courses around how you can learn and use the content that we provide. We have masterclasses where we do lunch and learns, or we might do a webinar on how you can use Instagram, for example, how you might be able to use Instagram stories to get a greater reach. So we provide all that content, and we'll tailor make and we'll support you, and we'll go through and give you the guidance to suit you. So some of our travel counsellors have got great social media pages, they've got great reach, and they update their pages daily. Some of our travel counsellors might just do it once a week or maybe once a month, just to make sure that they've always got a footprint. It's entirely what suits you. And from a marketing point of view, lots of our travel counsellors will work on referrals, and they'll make sure that they get referrals from their existing customers that they've booked or clients. So, marketing yourself is a really big thing. And Joe mentioned that earlier, whether you're attending a networking group, whether it's, you might be sponsoring a local football team on a Sunday morning and you've paid for maybe the training tops that the kids are wearing, for example, that's got, your Travel Counsellors franchise on it. There's various different ways of you getting out into your local community. And what you can be confident is that we'll give you all the support that you would need. We'll give you all the brand guidelines and all the support to make sure that you're doing it in the right way to protect you as a business, but also protect us as well, making sure that we look after that brand.
Absolutely, protecting your business as well is actually well, I don't know if you saw the last slide because we ran ahead of too soon, but it is the next question that we are regularly asked is, what protection is provided to me and my business? And I don't know if I take personal, you take customer, I'll take tech, Matt, and it's one of the most important parts of running your business again is making sure that it's done securely from a personal point of view, your business point of view, and also everything else. And so from a personal point of view, we obviously, as part of the operation and maintenance fees per month, we encourage people to take, and they do have to take, professional indemnity insurance cover. And that protects you and your business from any sort of potential errors during the booking process. There's obviously a process to go through, and you have to adhere to certain criteria like any insurance policy, but it's there for your protection. So you don't have to worry about just a human error, anything that can happen. From a customer point of view, Matt, how does it work?
Yeah, no, as I mentioned before, so 100% of all funds that are collected from customers goes into our financial trust. So that's managed by an industry-leading body that's accredited by the CAA. So we're really proud of our relationship we have with the CAA, and all of the money that we take from a customer is completely ring-fenced. It goes into a completely separate bank account, and obviously we don't look at that, or we don't even touch that money until after our customers have travelled. So you can be safe in the knowledge that whenever you take payment from a customer, it's being dealt with in the right way, and your customer and you are fully protected throughout.
Absolutely, and from a tech point of view, we've got a really solid team from the support function within our IT department who will regularly ensure that your business is not cause of any foul play from third party or external bodies. So there's training programs in place to make sure that you just abiding by, or whether it be regulations or just understanding what might be a phishing email or something that might be maybe trying to cause harm to your business. So you're always up to date with that as well. That itself is ever changing. So yeah, you need to be up to date with that as well. And how I suppose we communicate that to all of our travel counsellors is pretty seamless as well. There's so much that goes on from a communication point of view within the business. We've touched on them throughout this sort of presentation, whether it be communication platforms, our TV studio with the Travel Counsellors TV daily updates, communication emails from our PR and comms team, keeping us up to date with everything that is going on from a travel counsellor and a business point of view. We've got a sort of real up-to-date, I think probably one of the first coronavirus, having a tongue twister there, coronavirus hub. You know, I've said that word so many times in the last 12 months, and the day that we're on a webinar, I can't pronounce it. Coronavirus hub, where it's got all of our information stored in one place, whether it be airline information, supplier information, cancellation charges, absolutely everything that you will need to know to keep your customers in the loop and up to date about their bookings. It's all in one place through the hub. It's invaluable. And again, we touched on peer-to-peer. There's 1,900 travel counsellors who like to talk, who have a common ground in travel and running a business, and use them to your advantage and talk to them. And yeah, they're the best people who can give you information on a daily basis. And they're just some of the ways that we communicate as a business. And I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Matt, at all from a communication point of view.
No, I think you've pulled out the main things there, Joe. I think when it comes to communication, and especially in a crisis, I think we've probably excelled, like you say, in the way that we've kept our travel council up to date. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but for example, that dedicated coronavirus hub that we've created, which houses all of the latest travel policies, all the changes to any of the travel corridors or anything that's really topical. In the last 10 months, that's been accessed over 700,000 times. So it just goes to show the power of when you've got, you know, a really key hub of information, how really important it is to drive and make sure that you can run your business and you've got the latest information at your fingertips rather than going from website to website or knowing what's right or wrong. So communication for us as a business is really important, and you can rest comfortably knowing that we will always make sure that you've got the latest updates, whether that's a regulatory, whether that's internal notifications, whether that's around new suppliers or new marketing. We have a whole host of it, and you've got some of the key platforms that we use there on the screen.
Absolutely, and I think it's allowed a bit more independence in a way for our travel counsellors too, who maybe have in the past relied on the support function, and rightly so. But it's given them the chance now to just do it themselves, which is in a way what they've wanted for maybe so long. And yeah, it's been an ever-changing subject and topic, and it just means it's one less hurdle that they have to chase. They don't have to ring head office anymore. They've got all the information and the content that they want. And in a way, it's great because it allows head office to do what they need to do with bookings and refunds and, you know, reissuing tickets and things like that and helping out with that, rather than, I don't know, you know, changing an email header or something along those lines, which people can now manage themselves, and it's given them that independence as well.
You're absolutely right, Joe. I think the probably, as with most businesses, we've had to maybe redesign or maybe think of different ways of working, or maybe we've had projects in mind that we were going to run, and either we've brought them forward or we've got them live sooner. And one of the things on there we've got around our communication platforms is our knowledge bank. So to your point, this is where we've now been able to create a platform of knowledge where all the travel counsellors, if you've got a question, so to Joe's point, if you needed to know how to change an email address or you needed to change an email header, you can go into our knowledge base now, again, on your laptop, on your phone, or if you've got your tablet there. So it's all in real time, and you could just search that question, it'll give you the answer. Or if the answer's not stored, it'll tell you where to go and find it. So the way that we've probably empowered our business owners through the pandemic will massively help us long term, because everybody has got all the information that they need at their fingertips. And to your point, rather than having to maybe ring or get in touch with us via an email to find out. So I think if anything, any good has come out of the pandemic, it's the way that businesses have maybe moved on with some of their projects that they're working on, or the way that you can communicate and find information. And I think the team have done, our internal communication team have done a cracking job in the way that they've been able to publicly get all that information all together into those hubs for us as well.
It's been in such a short time frame. I know it seems now we're approaching a year of everything that's been going on, but it it was there and then ready from sort of day dot, wasn't it? Which was
Absolutely.
astonishing, and it's credit to the guys behind the scenes doing that. Last but not least, predictions from yourself, Matt. When do you think this travel boom may happen? And yeah, how might that look for our potential future new business owners?
Well, I mean, it's a really difficult question, isn't it? So as we're, looking at doing the webinar today and we're talking to you around it, obviously we've got some travel restrictions in place and we've got some quarantine rules that are being lobbied in Parliament, and they're talking around how many days and whether that 10 days is in hotels. So I think over the next coming days, the government will follow the science and they'll start to follow, obviously, the continued R rate and the infection rate. I think as then when the vaccination program starts to roll out further, it'll give us a lot more confidence. I think we're just going to have to play the travel card probably close to our chest and just see how things go. Yeah. And I think we can only follow the government advice and make sure that we're ready for that pent-up demand. I don't know about you, but if you talk to any of your friends and family, and I know talking to lots of our TCs, there's so much pent-up demand for people that are either had to cancel holidays from last year, or they're planning 2-3 holidays this year, or maybe get-togethers with family. So I think we all know that holidays are a really big part of everyone's day-to-day life and just conversation points. And whenever it's ready and it's safe to do so, we'll be ready as a business. Our travel counsellors will be ready. And the good thing for us is we've got lots of people that are asking us lots of questions around, can I get there? We've got lots of bookings that are still coming through for later on in the year. We're still doing bookings, for school holidays, for UK staycations, for people that may be thinking, actually, I'm still a little bit unsure, so I'm not sure whether I want to go overseas. So I think it's one of those things that we'll have to just play it by ear, see how it goes, and we'll just work with the guidance that we get through, and we'll make sure that everybody's educated in the right way to make sure that we sell the right holidays and that we're all safe and sound, which is obviously the main thing that we need to do, and look after each other. Absolutely.
Matt, thank you so much for your time at this webinar. I appreciate all your insights and taking the tricky questions, because I would have struggled with them. And for everyone else who has joined us on this webinar, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that it is been of some use for you if you are considering new things and ventures along the lines of a travel business through the franchise model. As I said earlier, if there are any questions, please do get in touch. The number and details will be at the end of this webinar. And from Matt and myself, we wish you well. Thank you so much again for your time, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again soon from a travel counsellor point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, and thanks everybody. Stay safe and well, and all the very best.
Cheers. Thanks. All the best. Take care.